in the category of, and that would be a covert, clandestine, or compartmentalized operation. And so with that as a background, I want to explain to your listeners my story. You see, I retired from Special Forces in 2012, in November of 2012, and basically started a life as a civilian. But over the last decade, we have seen an acceleration of the attack that has been happening against America for a very long time. And so when 2020 happened, the election of 2020, while most people thought, oh, this was a stolen election in order to gain power, I knew that it was actually a demonstration of the power they already had by rubbing people's nose in the very ability to openly manipulate and fraudulently sway an election right in everybody's face and totally get away with it. So at that point in time, I knew it was time for me to start reaching out to individuals who I knew would be first on the target list in this new phase of this unconventional warfare operation against America. And so in November of 2020, I held a meeting with the leadership of the Florida Oath Keepers. All the names that you currently know as seditious conspirators, like your Kelly Meggs, your Kenny Harrelsons, and all these, were at this meeting. And in this meeting, I warned this group of Oath Keepers that they were about to be targeted for destruction by those who sought to destroy America. And I gave them examples of the meddling of China. I gave them the examples of this concept of one world government and the idea that American sovereignty was the target. I even put a photograph of my ODA and told them all, right now there are men dressed like this with your names in packets. So you had better start operating with this understanding. And of course, they didn't. Fast forward 12 days after this meeting, I have 2 federal agents on my front doorstep from the Department of Homeland Security working on behalf of the Joint Terrorism Task Force looking for me. Now, they said that they were there to question me about social media posts, but I deleted my social medias well in advance of this, them showing up at my door. And I now know, because I have the confidential human source reports, that they had 2 FBI spies in that very meeting that I held in November. The meeting only had about 15 people in it, so 2 of the 15 people, at least, were FBI spies. So with this knowledge, the FBI comes to my house under a false predicate to set up a meeting with me in order to sit down and not investigate why I was telling this group of Americans that their country was under attack and that they were about to be targeted. No, these guys showed up with the intent to recruit me, to help them by providing evidence, in their words, in case something happens in January. This was December 9th of 2020. Now, I recorded this meeting, and it's one of the reasons why I'm in jail, one of the reasons why I was on your program almost 3 years ago when I broke this story publicly. So these agents show up to not investigate me for holding this meeting to warn American citizens, but to recruit me, to further spy on them. Now, again, December 9th, this is a full month before January 6th ever happened. So, of course, I know immediately that what they're doing is illegal, and I start to try to reach out and tell everybody, hey, the FBI is trying to spy on American citizens, and they're trying to recruit me to do it. I warned them that I had been approached by the FBI. I also warned the Special Forces Association, and I had also been approached because they were interested in groups I was associated with. It wasn't until after the events of January 6th where I fully understood the purpose of that meeting. Because, see, on the morning of January 6th, those same federal agents called me on the phone. The evening of January 6th, after the so-called insurrection, I had a text conversation back and forth with this agent. And I later found out after being arrested and getting access to documents that on January 5th, the National Terrorism Operations Center opened an assessment up on me. The very same guy that these guys attempted to recruit in December, now the day before January 6th, they have an assessment opened up on me, of which later on January 13th clears me as no national security threat. And then 2 days later, an article is run in the Washington Post declaring me, by name, Jeremy Michael Brown, as a conspiracy theorist. Now, they knew that I had the recording of them because I told them I was recording that meeting. And so this is the beginning of me going to put all these pieces together and see January 6th as what it actually was. And that was a stage setup, a modern-day burning of the Reichstag, right? Just like Hitler burnt the Reichstag in 1933 and then blamed it on the communists in order to roll out the communists and gain power. Well, that's exactly what January 6th has been, and we now see that 3 years after the fact in the actions that they're taking. So I began to speak out publicly. Like I said already, you were gracious enough to have me on your show before I was arrested. But see, at that same time, their narrative was being exposed by outlets like Revolver.news, by Darren Beattie breaking the article explaining that the FBI's leadership was also involved in the Governor Gretchen Whitmer kidnapping plot, which was falling apart. Then, a few months later, I hear some music, JB. Are you getting ready to go to commercial?
Yeah, we're about out of time, so let her rip. Pull the music down just a little bit under him so he can get out there. Go ahead and give us what you got. We got about a minute.
Okay. So on September 30th, 9 months after January 6th, is when the FBI, after I've been exposing for 7 months the recording of their agents attempting to recruit me, is when they show up, they arrest me for explosives and classified materials, and now I've been in jail for over 938 days on these bogus charges that were completely fraudulent.
What do you want us to do, Master Sergeant? What would you, if you could just rub the genie out of the lamp, what do you want us to do?
What I want you to do is go to JeremyBrownDefense.com, learn more about my case, and see that I'm the January 6th defendant, that they do not